Hi, boys and girls, it's Miss Gallagher. This week we're going to continue to work with our teen numbers, so I think it'll be an easy week for you guys. You have had so much practice with these numbers. We're going to continue using a double 10 frame, we're going to continue using a number bond, and we're going to continue to use a number sentence. The only difference is this week is the numbers that I wrote in my equations are in different places in my problem. So what you're going to have to do this week is you're going to have to find some missing numbers in your equations and some missing numbers in your 10 frames, all right? And we'll talk more about that as we go through these problems today, okay? So if I've already chose each of the numbers today that we're going to be working with, we're going to be working with 12, 18, 14, and 13, which we all know are teen numbers. So we're going to go through each problem and then we're going to talk it out. I want you to pay very close attention to the questions that I'm asking because those are some of the questions that you're going to have to answer on this week's math work, okay? All right, here we go. So the first number we're going to work with is 12. So as we all know, we're going to fill in our 10 frames. So we're going to count with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So now that our 10 frame is filled up, we automatically know we have 10. We need to get to 12, so we're going to continue to count up. So how many more? This is a kind of the question that I want you to think about. How many more am I going to need to put into my second 10 frame in order to make 12? So if right now I have 10, without us drawing in our dots in our 10 frame, I want you to think right now at home, how many more dots am I going to need to get to 12? So again, I have 10 right now. How many more do I need to get to 12? All right, if you said 2, you're right. We're going to put 2 more dots into our 10 frame. So we have a group of 10 and a group of 2 that makes 12. Okay? Now we're going to put it into our number bond. So we know in our top circle in our number bond is always going to be the number that we're working with. So we're working with the number 12 for this problem. I'm going to write the number 12 up there. And now we're going to break it up into those 2 parts. So what helps me is looking back into my double 10 frames to identify those 2 parts. So up in here, we know one of our parts is always going to be 10. And in my second part, we said 2. So 10 and 2 makes 12. All right. Now I already have part of my equation filled in. I already have my 10 filled in. What I want you to do right now at home is I want you to figure out what these other 2 numbers are in our equation to make 12. So I have my 10 plus, just like I asked you for our 10 frames, I want you to think about how many more do I need to get to 12. So again, if I have 10, how many more do I need to get to 12? I'll give you a second to think about it. If you said 2, you are right. So it's going to be 10 plus 2 equals, we're working with the number 12, so equals 12. All right. So those are the kind of questions we're going to be working with today. So I'm going to be asking a lot of questions when we're working with our 10 frame and a lot of questions when we're working with our equation. So make sure you're listening carefully so you can answer those questions at home, okay? All right. Our next number we're working with is 18. So again, we're going to fill up that top 10 frame. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Top 10 frame is filled up. We automatically know we have 10. Now my question is, we have 10, but I want to get to 18. So how many more am I going to need to get to 18? Think about it at home. I have 10. How many more do I need to get to 18? Give you a second to think about it. If you said 8, you are right. So I'm going to put 8 in my bottom 10 frame because 10 and 8 is 18. So I'm going to count still 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Okay, so I know 10 and 8 makes 18. Now I'm going to go into my number bond. 18 is the number I'm working with, so I'm going to put that in my top circle for my number bond. And now I need to know what two numbers make 18. So we know when we're working with team numbers, one part is always going to be 10 plus, we look in our bottom 10 frame, we know 8 is our second part. Okay, and now moving on to our equation. So this time you're going to notice that I have filled in the middle number here, 8, but I'm missing my first number and then my answer. So here's my part 8. So if I want to have 18 altogether, right now I have 8. How many more am I going to need to get to 18? It's a tricky question. It's kind of backwards thinking. Maybe some of you already know the answer. Quick. Other of you are still thinking. Keep thinking. Think about our parts. You can see them in our 10 frames. You can see them in our number bond. So right now I only have one of my parts, which is 8. What is that missing part? I'll give you a second to think. And if you said 10, you are correct. So 10 is always going to be my first part, plus 8 equals, how many are we working with? 18, yes. So my equation is 10 plus 8 equals 18. All right, 2 more, friends. Next number we're going to work with is 14. So same thing, listen to those questions carefully when we're working with our 10 frames and our equation. I'm going to start with filling up my top 10 frame with 10. Go ahead and count with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Filled up my top 10 frame with 10. I want to get to 14. Go ahead and think about it. How many more am I going to need to get to 14? I have 10. How many more do I need to get to 14? Think about it. If you said 4, you are correct. So I'm going to put 4 in that bottom 10 frame. In order to get to 14, I need 4 more. So I know my parts are 10 and 4. Okay, now into our number bond, we're going to put our top number, which is 14. That's the number we're working with right now. And now I need to break it up into my 2 parts. So we know one part is always going to be 10 plus my other part, we already figured that out in this bottom 10 frame, we need 4 more. So my parts are 10 and 4. All right. Now we're going to go ahead and work on the equation. Now in this equation, I notice that I have my answer here. So this time it's kind of like what we do in a number bond, where we start off with our answer and then we break it off into the 2 parts. So this time we have our answer 14 here, but now we're going to have to break it off into those 2 parts. So we know one of our parts is always going to be 10. And in order to get to 14, we've said this a couple times, we need how many more to get to 14 if we have 10? Give you a second to think. We need 4 more. So my other part is going to be 4. So friends, these equations are really helping you look at numbers kind of in a different way, right? Because here you're given the first part, here I gave you the second part, here I gave you the third part. Now for this next one, I haven't given you any of the parts. So I'm going to see if you friends at home can do this with me, okay? Let's try this last one together. The number is 13, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and start with my 10 frames, fill up my first 10 frame. I'm going to fill it up with 10. We always know with our team numbers, we're always going to fill up that first 10 frame because a team number is made up of 10 and some ones. So here's my group of 10. So my question for you is how many more am I going to need to get to 13? I have 10. How many more am I going to need to get to 13? Think about it. If you said 3, you are correct. So I'm going to go ahead and put 3 more counters in my 10 frame to make 13. Now going to my number bond, I'm going to start with the number 13 in the top. And now we're going to break it up into those 2 parts. So again, We know one of our parts is always going to be 10. And then in our second 10 frame, in order to get to 13, we need to add 3 more. So our second part is 3. All right, friends, I want you doing this at home on your own before I write in the answer. I want you writing the equation, but look very closely. You might not be able to see it, so I'm going to tell you. You're starting off with the total. So you're not starting with the parts, you're starting off with the total. So how many are all together? What's the number we're working on? Equals, then you're going to break it up into those two parts. So which number equals this number plus this number? I'm going to give you 10 seconds. Go ahead, talk it out with someone at home. What number are we working with? And then break it up into those two parts and add it into your equation. All right. I know that was quick. You can stop the video if you need some more time. We're going to move on and finish this equation. So because we are starting with the number 13, that is what our equation is going to start with in this case, because I have my equal sign here. So 13 equals, now I'm going to break it up into my two parts. So my two parts I know are 10, always 10 is one of my parts, plus how many more do I need to get to 13? 3. So that equation reads 13 equals 10 plus 3. Just another way to write your equation, friends, okay? So this week, that's what you're going to be working on is teen numbers, writing them in different ways, and always trying to figure out how many more do you need, okay, in those 10 frames and in those equations, all right? Can't wait to see your work this week, guys.